baseball. Brought to you by.
That voice you hear in the background, everybody can tell that voice, recognize that voice.
Holy cow, the little guy is nothing like a game of baseball. What a play by Votto.
There was a time you used to do this job for a living. You remember that?
I know. I think you were somewhere in the the den at that time.
No, you and I were actually.
I know,
was it 88, 89, both those years?
I
right?
got hit 3 times in the head, and I'm still paying for it. Hello, Chris.
Hey, John. How was the parade?
Well, Carpenter's still out there. The parade was the most unbelievable parade I think we've ever had here. 100,000 people.
Really? Wow. We didn't hear that. George came in and said it was great, but.
Well, George, George was so. I mean, I got work on my rotator cuff just from waving today. There were so many people. It was a wonderful day. So many Reds fans.
Now, see, knowing you, Johnny Bench, as George told the story, his motto rolls over one out in front of a plate, and Carpenter will throw him out. I mentioned the fact that, when we saw you in spring training, there you are as the Grand Marshal of this year's parade.
My
your son, Bobby, right? Is that Bobby with you? I can't tell.
That's Bobby.
That's what I thought. How old is he now, by the way?
He's 20. He's a sophomore at Boston University.
Got the brains in the family.
He better have. He's got most of my retirement.
So he got the glue, too.
Yes. Here's Carpenter working against Brandon.
But you say to George Grant, I mean, you had told us in spring training when we saw you about you just had your hip replaced, right?
8 weeks ago, yeah.
And you're doing very well.
I'm playing golf. I'm doing everything.
Wow.
My second one. Thank you, Dr. Burton, striker. I love it.
But understand, George told us that you looked at him and said, hey, look, I don't want to make you nervous or uncomfortable or anything, but don't throw one that's going to make me move, because that's just not going to happen.
I said anything below the waist is somewhere else. I'm sorry to have Hannigan out there to back me up.
But Chris said, hey, Bench will just let the thing go.
I will.
Look like a fool.
Here's the secret. Do not stand all the way up on the mound, because when you pull down, and his was perfect form. Did you see that, Chris?
Oh, yeah.
Elbow was up. Everything was perfect with him. And I said, whatever you do, ground ball, Schumacher, this will be easy. 2 up, 2 down. And I said, just try to throw it over my head. If you throw it to the screen, people will say, what an arm. But if you bounce it, you're all over you, right? I can imagine what you guys would have said to George. But it was perfect form.
Those are pretty good numbers right there, Mr. Bench.
That was last century.
Well, it might have been, but they were still good.
That was my millennium. I don't know what to see.
14 All-Star games. Is there one moment that stands out for you in any of those games?
Probably the first one in 1968. Here's a drive. Way back left, center field. Back to the wall. It's going to be caught. Oh, wow. The deepest part of the ballpark. Oh, my. Nelly. Oh, you got to get them all. We got to get them all in.
You got them all covered. That's
Look
a catch by Rascal.
Great timing. Great time. And he pulled it back. Pulled it back as Jesse gives us 3-2 on 4-2 Cardinals.
All right, Johnny Bench, you were starting to say of the 14 All-Star games, you were starting to say the first one, 1968.
1968, I'm sitting in the clubhouse and Willie Mays came over to me, and I'm just in my locker. I'm afraid to move because all these guys, here this Gibson and Mays and all these guys are walking by, and I didn't want to spike anybody or anything else. Mays walked across the locker room and said, "You should have been the starting catcher." Well, made my day. And then in the, I guess it was the 9th inning, I was with the only other catcher, and they didn't want to put me in, and they went in and told Shindy, "Red, you got to put him in." Well, we don't have any other catchers. He won't get hurt, but I caught the 9th inning of that game, and it was a beautiful thing. Strike call on the inside. Then the next year in Washington, I hit a home run, my first at bat. And then Yastrzemski caught one. My second home run, he took one over the fence, just like we just saw in the last inning. Breaking ball, just a little bit outside.
Now, you're coming up here. I mean, are you missing the broadcasting gig?
Well, I would, yeah. I mean,
do you miss it at all?
I love the game. I mean, I
know you do.
I think it's hard for you guys as to come. You probably used to it now, but to come to the ballpark every day and do it. But once you get into the rhythm of being a part of what the game is and being able to talk about it, I think there's nothing better than what's out there. And so many people come to me as Ryan leads off with a base hit. They come to me and they say, "Boy, it's really changed." I said, "It hasn't changed." I mean, Chris, I mean, the guys who still have heart. The guys after the contracts, all the stuff is when they get on the field, they want to play baseball.
You're right. And the guys, if you're on a bad team, you don't want to come to the ballpark in September. And you're on a good team, you can't wait to get to the ballpark.
That's right.
And things haven't changed like that. The money's changed. Some of the things certainly has changed the size of the houses the players have, but hadn't changed the game itself.
Yeah, I could live in their cars.
Runner goes and Pujols lines one into right center field. And holy Moses, it clears a wall in right center field.
That's a hit and run. That's what we call a hit and run. Some people call it a hit and trot.
This guy is absolutely amazing. I was just starting to ask you about him, Johnny Bench. I mean, there have to be guys, when you say, it hasn't changed, but there have to be guys, as a Hall of Famer that you were, that you watch now and you say, man, this guy is something very, very special.
Well, I mean, I still don't understand why we've thrown him a strike. I mean, you get into a situation like the first inning, he got 2 strikes on him. I don't care. I mean, Holliday's coming up behind him, but he's not going to get a pitch that he can hit. I mean, I don't care if I walk him 3 or 4 times. I mean, we used to do that with McCovey.
Yeah, Halliday's a good hitter, but he's nowhere near in the same category as Albert Pujols. If anybody is, I don't know.
Well, Holliday hit some mistakes, and he's a great hitter and great player, but this guy doesn't miss a pitch.
Into center field, a bouncing ball off the bat of Holliday. And pitched in 70 games for the Reds last year with an ERA right at 3.
Little Bobby Shantz going to Whitey Ford. I mean, maybe an inch or 2 taller, but man, this guy's got some heart.
And apparently must have pretty decent stuff to go along with.
You know what he does, and I really believe that Herrera can be as effective, if not more so, against right-handers and left-handers, because he's got that screwgy that really acts like a right-handed curveball the way it breaks away from him.
Man, John Franco lived off of it for a long time.
Colby Rasmus with a count of 1 ball and 1 strike. Cardinals have hit 3 home runs in a game. Pujols has 2 of them. Rasmus has the other.
It's funny how hitters practice, quick swings, getting the ball fast, and so on. What they don't practice is hitting the kind of stuff that Herrera throws up there.
Now, really the only chink in the armor for Herrera last year, and I mean, you're really nitpicking for a guy that came on through as well as he did.
Why not nitpick?
24 walks in 61 innings. It's not brutal, but you'd like to see him cut that back by about a third.
Who's walking? I mean, I used to have the guy you walk 4, and the guys come in and say, well, he walked 4. I said, well, I walked 3 of them. Yep. There's just a lot of times, like if you walk Pujols in the first inning, you might be a nothing game, and it's not like you're doing it. I told our catchers, our young kids, when I was down in Goodyear, in the minor league, I said, they talked about calling a game. Well, I'm looking in the on-deck circle. Well, there's Holliday, okay, and then who's behind him? Well, if I can't get him out and I have trouble with him, then I'll go to the dugout and get him out. If I walk 2 and get out of the inning, it really doesn't matter. I just don't want to, cost myself a big inning and maybe the home runs that we see. So sometimes it's just as important to pitch around the guy and maybe miss or let him get himself out. But, Daniel, I mean, he is a control pitcher. I mean, he's got to get a little bit more around it, but, he's around the plate. He's got such good stuff sometimes that the guys do lay off, and it's just something like that. But what was his ERA?
3.06.
Yeah. See, I mean, you got an effective kid like that, Chris. It's just, you just, unless you're a nitpicker like some people over here on my left.
That's right.
I think a situational walk is a valuable thing.
Swing and miss by Rasmus.
There's simply some guys that you just don't match up well against.
And here's the situation, like you say, Chris. Here comes Ludwig, and he's right now, having a good game. Got a hit, and but you're still looking at a guy that can get the ball on the ground, get the double play, get out of the inning if you need it, or he can just, as we just saw the strikeout, keep these guys off balance. And you don't see a lot of this stuff early in the, through spring training. So, well, I'll ask you, both of you, what do you think of this ball club?
I think the ball club is much improved over last year. I think that, you're hoping last year that some of the guys in their rookie year were going to make a big impact. And that rarely happens. It may be more than one player. But I think Jay Bruce has had a year and a half in the major leagues. He'll be a better player this year. I think Joey Votto, we've seen his worst year, I believe. I think this guy is just going to be solid .320 hitter.